So that is my honorable mention team.
2019 FCC also gets honorable mention. If Philadelphia can make this list, why not?
I have no disagreements there.
It's funny you say that. I feel like I remember when I was researching this, I was probably researching 2000 Chicago, and I saw just all the stuff Kansas City won that year.
Yeah,
right.
like,
why are they not on this list?
That's what I said. But shout out Extra Time, who put Andrew Gutman on FCC's Mount Rushmore and Jurgen Lacadia on FCC's Mount Rushmore for making this phenomenal table, which realistically is not terrible outside of like 3 picks. But let's move on to the next round.
Didn't they also put Alphonso Davies on their all-time Mount Rushmore?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
So this is the final.
Before you go on praising them.
Semi-quarter. So we are in the round of 32. 2017 TFC versus 2001 Miami. So we hadn't touched on 2017 TFC yet, so let's talk about it. The ever sought after Canadian Championship, CONCACAF Champions League berth, Supporters Shield win, broke the points record at the time, MLS Cup. You know what that equals? Treble. You know who has more than 1 treble? Nobody. You know who has more than 0 trebles? Only Toronto. Only team to ever do the treble. And again, versus Miami, who won the Supporters Shield by +1 goal differential, made it to semifinals MLS Cup, lost in sudden death, first in the East. Adam, what do you think?
I mean, I'm amazed you didn't bring up Giovinco in that intro.
Oh, the striker?
But yep, there it is. The thing I wish for this team, and it's crazy to say, based on obviously what they won, but imagine this team with Pozuelo in it.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
I know he joined 2 years later, but I can't help to think what that team would look like, and then I kind of throw up a little bit.
We wouldn't have stood a chance in 2017 against them.
No,
we at least put up a fight. This team was seen as the best team before they'd won anything. The way that they played and blew teams out of the water, like when Red Bull took them basically to extra time and got in those fights and stuff, like that was the best game anybody's ever played against them in that year, and they were just disgusting. So I'm putting Toronto through. I'm assuming you are as well, Adam, the way you're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, disagreements?
0 disagreements here. And I think even the scarier part is I don't even think that was Giovinco at his best in MLS that season.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what Giovinco at his highest would have been like for them. Like, it just would have been insane.
Remind me, who was in that midfield other than obviously Michael Bradley? Like, who was the one feeding all his assists?
Marky Delgado.
Vasquez.
Okay. Yeah, so that's why I made the argument for imagine a creative number 10 like Pozuelo in that team.
Well, Vasquez was one of the best creative number 10s in the league.
I understand that, but if given
imagine both of them, how about that?
Vasquez.
Well, that's like LA Galaxy back when they had everybody. It's like, where are you putting all these players you're signing? Like, you're just signing players for fun and they're just sitting on the bench. Or Chelsea, but whatever. MLS podcast. Chelsea back in like 2012 were the team that just signed everybody.
No, because our team in 2012, yes, we won the Champions League, but we also had like Fernando Torres and Demba Ba the year after as our front.
Oh my God, ridiculous! We won the Champions League, not good enough. 2010 RSL versus 2015 RBNY. Already spoke about it. 2010 RSL, first team in the CONCACAF Champions League final, second in Supporters Shield, 7 losses in 40 games. 36 goals conceded. Red Bull, Supporters Shield by goal differential, lost in the conference finals, lost in PKs in quarterfinals of the US Open Cup, beat Chelsea in the ICC. I'm going to go ahead and get this one out of the way. RSL moves on. First RBNY team is out of the bracket, and this one was not difficult. Red Bull 2015 was the worst of the 3 Red Bull teams here. It was that team that Petke willed to the finish and got them across the line. That they were not supposed to be that good. Never were they supposed to be that good. And he just found a way to push them over the line with the mentality of a center back from 1996 MLS. and just I don't care who we play, we're going to win. And I'm not saying they didn't deserve it. They played very well, but this is not a team that's better than 2010 RSL.
Fair.
Yeah, I originally had San Jose, obviously, but I also had San Jose going past RBNY, so I will agree on RSL going past RBNY. Same, pretty much for the same reasons. You know, I said 60 points was kind of a disappointing supporter shield for Dallas. I feel like you could say the same thing for 2015 RBNY.
Sorry, I could answer this.
Say, since this is getting cut out anyway, someone just texted me 8 o'clock works for him.
Good.
So we're good for tomorrow.
All right, back into it. Sorry, I'm very important person. Connor, what am I?
What?
I don't know. What are you?
I'm essential, Connor. Remember that.
Sure.
Remember that.
Okay.
All right.
Galaxy.
Yes, 2014 LA Galaxy versus the 2016 FC Dallas team. 2014 LA Galaxy, MLS Cup number 5, quarterfinals of the Champions League. No David Beckham, second in Supporter Shield. League MVP in Robbie Keane, 3 All-Stars versus FC Dallas. Double of Supporter Shield and US Open Cup. Defender of the Year, won their CCL group, and lost in the conference semifinals. This was very difficult. I did not like this, and I think I have my first wrong pick here, but I'm gonna listen to what you guys have to say first.
Connor, go for it.
So I ended up going with 2014 LA Galaxy because while they didn't win Supporter Shield, they outscored Dallas, who won the Supporter Shield, and had a much higher goal difference than them, 32 versus 10. And the LA Galaxy team won MLS Cup. So, they didn't win US Open Cup like Dallas did, but I think they got a comparable trophy in the MLS Cup versus Supporter Shield. And I think that the Galaxy team proved during the regular season to be a more dominant team than Dallas proved to be, where I think Dallas kind of got by with weaker teams around the league.
Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and jump in on this one. I put 2016 FC Dallas, and here's why. They did the double of Open Cup and Supporter Shield. Can you name one big name player from that team?
Ryan Hollingshead.
Exactly. They did it. They did it with
Michael
academy.
Barrios.
They did it with academy kids and Michael Barrios. That's literally what they did, and Matt Hedges. That's unreal. The fact that they were able to run through the league, win Supporter Shield, U.S. Open Cup, lost in the conference semifinals to a Seattle team that was ridiculous in 2016, and then won their CCL group as well. That's wild to me. So I put them through based on the fact that they were so good when they weren't supposed to be versus one of like 8 LA Galaxy teams that you could have put in the spot, and they would have had literally the same thing, except one might have been with David Beckham, one might have been without it. So FC Dallas goes through for me.
I'm pretty sure Andrew's just reading off my notes because I said the same reason for FC Dallas. The fact that they did it with homegrown players is kind of impressive. Probably a little bias coming from 2 Red Bull fans, the fact that homegrown players played a big part in our decision. But we'll win the Open Cup one day, Andrew.
Yeah, if Philadelphia drops out.
And DC.
Yeah. Wow. So I thought that was it. I thought that's where I was going to falter, but I have not missed a pick yet. We're still moving, and we move on. Let me get this out of the way, and we move on to 2018 RBNY versus 2014 Seattle, another ridiculous matchup. As we talked about, 2018 best Red Bull team probably ever. Supporter Shield, runners-up in CONCACAF, runners-up in conference finals of the Cup. semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup, best team front to back, probably in the league, let alone in Red Bull history, versus a 2014 Seattle that did the Supporter Shield U.S. Open Cup double, Western Conference Finals, and had Oba and Deuce. So, this one was tough. It broke my heart. But 2014 Seattle moved on because Red Bull had nothing except a shield to show for it, while Seattle had an Open Cup, a shield, and a very good playoff run. That hurt. But again, if we're talking about best teams ever, Seattle were just better. And I don't know how I feel about that, because now that I just read all of that off, I genuinely think 2018 Red Bull would beat 2014 Seattle. But they had nothing to show for it, because that is what Red Bull do. They choke and they choke and they choke, and they ruin my life. Somebody go. I don't care who. I'm gonna get sad.
Go ahead, Adam.
I had Seattle going through, Andrew. Don't worry.
All right, I'm glad we're on the same page here.
It's tough because this Red Bull team is probably arguably the best team that Red Bull's had. But
I think there's a genuine argument for them being one of the best teams ever. But
it's hard to argue that, though.
Exactly. It's hard to argue that. You can argue it, but it's very difficult when you don't win anything. If you don't watch 2018 RBNY like we did, you know that they were good on paper, but they have nothing to win. You don't know what they want. They just were decent. They were a good team. Like if we were talking about 2015 Portland, they won MLS Cup, but they were a good team, and that's it, right? And that's why I couldn't put them through, is because 2018 RBNY, if you didn't watch them game in and game out, you had no idea they were that good.
Yeah, I would say that'd be like if the 2018 Atlanta team didn't win anything. Anyone who watched them would say, they were far and away the best team in the league by a mile that year. Joseph scoring for fun, like just all around greatness, but they didn't win anything. So
yeah, I completely agree. Connor, did you go against us on this one?
Yeah, I did. I went 2018 RBNY.
Wow.
And I went with it because both teams got Supporter Shield, so the differing trophies, the U.S. Open Cup. As I said before,
you don't like the U.S. Open.
I don't value it as much as I value the other trophies. And I think 2018, RBNY's 2018 Supporter Shield was that much better than Seattle's Supporter Shield that it makes up for the U.S. Open Cup. Because not only did they get 71 points, they had a ridiculous goal differential of 29, but they did it against one of the other best teams in MLS history in 2018 Atlanta. They beat a team that many would argue is top 10 all time. So they were beating the best to get that trophy. And they outscored Seattle by 7 points. I just think that was a bigger achievement than winning the U.S. Open Cup.
All right, you get it. You're going to be real happy that you're recording this. If we beat you in MLS Cup, 2018 Red Bulls is the best team in history. But because we didn't win MLS Cup, it doesn't matter.
Well, you made the argument before that LA was a game away from winning the treble, and you gave them the advantage over that. RBNY was a game away from pretty much being one of the best teams ever, no question.
We were a game away from having. We were 2 games away from MLS Cup. We were 2 games away from CONCACAF Champions League, which arguably we might not have won anyway. We would have gone, and we might have lost that game. We were 2 games away from MLS Cup, which, knowing us, we would have choked there too.
I don't think so.
And we won a shield on the last day because Atlanta choked away.
Yeah, but you still won it with 71 points. It wasn't like, oh, we got it with 60 points because Atlanta got 59 on the last day.
Right. No,
you can't say you didn't earn it.
But if we're talking about important trophies, when we talk about both teams have both teams had the Supporter Shield, and both teams were very good. but Red Bull don't have the MLS Cup. And at least Seattle have US Open Cup. Red Bull bounced out of US Open Cup in the semis. But it's just the notion of winning. And I think Red Bull – I can't believe I'm bashing the best team that I've ever watched. What has this podcast turned me into? We're moving on. 2014 Seattle. Connor, great arguments. Thank you for standing up for a team that beat yours in the Supporter Shield race. But I cannot – I think I can't move Red Bull on because of the disappointment they've caused me. They don't deserve to move on. That is what my
If they
stance
win
is.
that one game against Atlanta, like I think that Atlanta RBNY series was basically the finals. I think either team beats Portland in the finals.
Oh,
if
easily.
RBNY wins that, it's one game and they would have had MLS Cup.
Well,
And I just think
don't go that
I think,
far.
Man, Aaron Long off of Tim Parker's ginger head into an own goal in the 90th minute to lose.